It's a 25% tariff on all goods coming into the United States will be placed on Colombia. And that tariff will increase to 50% after 1 week's time.
Who would have thought that tariff would become the nuclear missiles of 2025? I will tariff you into the middle of next week. Who hasn't been threatened with a tariff? Trudeau, God rest his soul, he was tariffed off, wasn't he? We'll tariff Canada. And then now the president of Colombia said, don't you dare. Can I do an accent? Don't you dare send migrants back to our country. Sorry, that was too Mexican. It's too generic. I'm not an expert in various Hispanic accents. Anyway, Trump said, you will take back your population or I will tariff you. Now, do you like, let me know in the comments and chat, a martial and proactive president like that? Or do you see this as a transgression against the basic requirement for compassion that the world's displaced deserve? And furthermore, second question, what is the meaning of a mandate? Because one thing that Trump's pretty explicitly campaigned on is his stance on migration. So if you believe in democracy and you believe that Trump was elected somewhat on a deportation mandate, what right do you have to complain about it now? Or even if you do complain, you have to still acknowledge it as part of the expression of the democracy in which you are a participant, and to deny would mean that you yourself, the irony, were a fascist for denying. Let's have a look, first of all, at the tariff aspect of this tale. That's the Colombian president caving to the threat itself.
The president of Colombia quickly caving to Trump's demands to accept deportation flights of illegal Colombian nationals after refusing 2 flights on Sunday.
Mrs. Tindelstrom in the Rumble chat, Canadians don't want to be tariffied. That's brilliant. I can't believe you got to that before I did. Is that pun already out there? Tariffied, like terrified by a tariff. That's good. If that's not owned, Luke, make a meme. Let's own it. Like, get ready to be tariffied, right? That as block text. And then an image of Trump, and then like a hashtag or whatever. Tariffied. I mean, it's brilliant. Oh, tariffed and feathered, says RCD Despacale. Good, but more obscure, I would say, than the brilliant Tariffied. So you can see that Fox News are delighted, aren't they? There's a kind of sense of delight in this reporting.
First, the president of Colombia refuses the flight. Then Trump announces that if Colombia does not accept the flights, a 25% tariff on all goods coming into the United States will be placed on Colombia. And that tariff will increase to 50% after 1 week's time. Trump also proposed a travel ban and an immediate visa revocation on Colombian government officials, allies, and all supporters. Colombia now has agreed to all of Trump's terms, including taking back all illegal migrants deported out of the United States.
That's hardcore. I suppose that's what, if you're pro-Trump and MAGA, you're like, whoa, man, that is how it's done. He says, we're deporting people. I've been elected on a mandate of deportation. The president of Colombia says, we won't accept back our citizens or civilians. Trump says, here's my bullet-pointed response. We start with 25%. It goes to 50%. People like that that's gangster. Now, the mistake that the liberal media might make, I predict, is that they'll treat this as like, this is awful, without realizing that this is what people elected Trump for and kind of like about him. And if you're making a moral argument that is awful, based on the idea that we're one human family and we have an overriding obligation to be loving and compassionate to us, then you should have governed like that when you had the chance.
The country's foreign minister and ambassador are expected to be in Washington today for high-level meetings.
In fact, I've not finished. Instead of which, you operated seemingly on behalf of Satan to permit children to go missing. I'm talking about globalists in general, and used rationalism and materialism and various new categories to annihilate our connection to the divine. You can't complain when people vote against you. We can go back to the news now.
Liz, wow, your reaction.
Well, it was really taking like, a bazooka to a night flight, right? What's interesting about this test marketing, if you will, of the sanctions and tariffs threat, Maria, is that we actually have a trade surplus with Colombia. So this is not a country where, like Canada, where they are really going to be devastated, presumably by...
Let's talk for a while about bazooka to a knife fight. How many versions have you heard to that? Have you heard, that's like taking, I've heard fart to a shit fight. I've heard that. Have you heard better versions of bazooka to a knife fight? Let me know in the comments and chat.
Tariff. So this was really more, I think, President Trump getting angry that they had turned these flights away, and basically saying to all our neighbors, look, we are serious about getting rid of criminals that are in our country that come from your country. You're going to take them back, and there is no discussion about it. So it was, was this sort of overreach by the president? Maybe, but guess what? It got the job done, and I think that is, as I say, sort of a template going forward.
Yeah, I mean, it's a litmus test, right, Cheryl?
Yeah.
I mean, because if this did not go well, others would have gotten a different message. Now, pretty much all the people who are dealing with Trump on tariffs are receiving this message.
Well, the message is he is serious. This is not a threat. Remember, last week, Goldman Sachs put out a note that said there was only a 20% chance that the Trump administration would levy these tariffs against Canada and Mexico. But think of that overall message from that group of investment, advisors or, Goldman Sachs. They're saying, oh, it's a threat. This is negotiation. You have people like Stephen Miller and Howard Lutnick that are saying, no, these tariffs are real and we're going to put them down. Tariffs first, and then we'll talk later. And so that's why when the Colombia pushback came so fast and furious before we had the discussion about February 1st, this is why. Because the Trump administration is sending that signal. This will be happening. This isn't a joke.
Yeah, right.
And I understand his anger about those flights. It's their citizens, and they're criminals. Take them back. So you know what? That could have made that would have hurt Colombia's exports, by the way, with coffee. And it would, maybe my cup of coffee would have went up 5 cents. I don't care.
That's amazing, isn't it? That's what patriotic, neo-nationalistic politics is going to look like. There's going to be deportations, but there's been a mandate for deportations. And that's what happens if you agree in sovereignty and nation. I guess we're caught in a real moral quagmire there if you want to approach this from a moralistic perspective when it comes to migration and refugees. If the native population vote against it, who are you to claim that they ought take it? On what bases? It's a really fascinating moment we've reached historically there, because I think if you undo it, you have to get rid of nations entirely. To say, no, actually, what we are is we're one just human people, one human family. You can start to make a spiritual argument for that. We are just one human family. We're all here together to protect one another. Whoa, okay, if that's your argument, we're going to have to really radically revise and alter the way we construct all of our systems, because we have been building economic enclaves of despotism and tyranny for a long, long while now, and making the primary function of the citizenry consuming, whether that's media or products. That's what we've created, is a passive larvae class. But now you're saying we're all one planet and we're divinely connected to each other. So you're saying there's a God, I suppose, or if not a God, then there's an absolute morality that we can all refer to, which might as well be a God. So we're going to be reorganizing society pretty radically. And because they don't want that, because they only want to use the subject of migration to, I think, create tension and crises in areas, both ontologically but also sociologically, of economic underclasses. What I mean by that is poor people that will have to deal with this, both mentally and spiritually, but also physically, due to topography, psychogeography, and the way that societies are organised. Like the migrants will affect poor people more than rich people, innit? Got a lot of things to deal with, man. I don't know. We're supposed to get all this done. Do you remember, before I asked, have you heard a better version of bazooka to a knife fight, which is what the lady there on Fox said about Trump's stance on this issue? Well, someone called Darding0172 in the Rumble chat said, dildo to a pillow fight. And I feel like, actually, that's not the same sort of thing, is it? Because, like a dildo is not an escalation of a pillow, but like a knife is a weapon and a bazooka is a better weapon. A pillow is a comfort, and a dildo is a sexual object. So that's not an escalation, that's an abstraction. And also, it doesn't belong at a pillow fight, because who has pillow fights? You lunatics. Man, free speech is under attack, but Rumble Premium refuses to back down. That's why you should use Rumble Premium. Support content creators like me, and him, and him, and him, and him. I'm going to say and her, but is there one? And her? Oh, That's good. And her. With major advertisers conspiring to pull their dollars, even brands like Dunkin' Donuts turned their back, claiming Rumble had a right-wing culture. How dare you say that? I'll never dunk that donut again. Not in my donut, you don't dunk. Not with rhetoric like that. Where's my Cybertruck? We're not here to fit a mold. We're here to defend free expression. To strengthen this mission, we're excited to offer Rumble Premium, a completely ad-free experience with exclusive benefits. Grow up. For viewers and creators. It's more than a subscription, it's a stand for free speech. Your voice matters. Join Rumble Premium. For a limited time, you can get $10 off an annual plan using the promo code BRAND. Visit rumble.com/premium/brand and claim your discount today. Together we can turn the tide, whether you join Rumble Premium or simply keep watching. Your support helps keep free speech alive. Go to rumble.com/premium/brand and use the code BRAND to get $10 off. Rumble Premium, ad-free, supports content creators like me, plus the additional content you'll get from all of these content creators. Become a member of Rumble Premium now. Use the code BRAND.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you want to see more uncensored content where free speech can flourish, join our live stream. Click the link right here to watch the next video if you want to, or become a member of a growing movement. Download the Rumble app and you'll be informed every time we make a new piece of content. Stay free.